Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at the career of YouTuber Jack Doherty.
Oh, yeah.
You know him.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, oh cool. So we've got a video essay here all about Jack Doherty.
All right.
And we're going to be kind of taking a deep dive into this
Yeah.
and looking at how his career has gone and, the controversy and all that good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a wild ride through influencer culture, the hunger for going viral,
Mm-hmm.
and how online personas can sometimes be really different
Yeah.
than reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got a McLaren, we've got a rainstorm,
Oh,
and a crash that pretty much broke the internet.
okay, I'm intrigued. Let's get into it.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah.
Jack Doherty, I mean, what's so fascinating about his story?
Well, what's interesting about Jack Doherty is that his story kind of really illustrates the pitfalls of internet fame.
Yeah.
He built his initial following by kind of pushing the boundaries, pulling these outrageous stunts, that whole kind of rebel without a cause vibe.
Yeah.
But the tactics that brought him millions of views also had some pretty serious consequences. So it's almost like a cautionary tale for anybody that's trying to navigate this world of online content creation.
Okay, so let's break down Jack Doherty a little bit. For people who might not be super familiar with his content,
Okay.
he first rose to fame by doing like provocative pranks, disrupting businesses,
Mm-hmm.
antagonizing people in public,
Yeah.
really leaning into that whole look at me, I'm a rebel image.
Yeah.
And this video essay we've got has a bunch of quotes
Mm.
about some of his,
Oh, really?
like greatest hits of being outrageous. And one of them, he says, "You're clown."
Yeah.
And this is a resort. People are trying to chill and relax,
Ooh, okay, so like antagonizing people? Yeah.
like just out in public.
All right.
So there's definitely a cringe factor.
Yeah, there is definitely a cringe factor there. But it's
Mm.
interesting to kind of look at why this content resonated with people initially.
Yeah.
There's almost like a train wreck effect. People can't look away from a disaster, even if they know they shouldn't.
Right.
Plus, let's be honest, some viewers enjoy seeing other people getting riled up.
Yeah.
They see it as a form of rebellion
Mm.
or like this kind of twisted sense of comedy.
Right. So it's like they're living vicariously through his outrageous behavior.
Exactly. Yeah.
But ethically, it's kind of slippery slope.
Yeah.
And the consequences for Jack started piling up pretty early in his career.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he faced lawsuits, backlash from people that he knew,
Mm.
and his reputation, wasn't exactly squeaky clean.
No, I can imagine.
So instead of maybe course correcting,
Mm.
it seems like he kind of doubled down on this villain persona.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's where the Lamborghini incident comes in.
Right. Okay. The infamous Lamborghini incident.
Yeah, so
Tell me about that.
this was a moment where Jack posted a video where he claims his Lamborghini was vandalized.
Oh, wow.
Now, whether or not this was real or a stunt
Okay.
is debated to this day.
Oh, really?
But he used the whole situation to further cultivate his bad boy image.
I see.
And so there were people online who were applauding the vandal,
Mm-hmm.
and then there were other people who were immediately calling fake.
Oh, wow. So really mixed reactions.
Yeah. But Jack used it to his advantage.
So this incident was a big moment in how people perceived him.
Yeah. And this kind of goes back to this.
And it goes back to this thing about playing the villain. A lot of influencers will play the villain to get views,
Right.
Drum up controversy, even if they have to make it themselves,
Yeah.
just to keep people talking and watching.
And this video essay we've got actually has an audio clip
Mm.
of Jack reacting to this supposed vandalism.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty chilling.
Really?
Yeah. So his first reaction isn't even concern,
Mm-hmm.
anger,
Yeah.
shock, nothing. He says, "Bro, I want you to record everything, get it on video. I want everything."
Wow, so he's more concerned about the video
Yeah.
than the damage.
Exactly. Like the drama itself was more important than the actual damage to his car.
Jeez, it makes you question his priorities.
It really does.
Yeah. Was he genuinely upset? Or was he just excited at the prospect of more viral content?
Yeah. And so this brings us to the big one, the McLaren crash.
Oh, okay.
This wasn't just a fender bender. Jack was live streaming while driving his $200,000 McLaren.
Oh, wow.
It was raining. He was on a busy highway.
Yeah.
And let's just say things took a very dangerous turn.
Okay.
So this incident is a big reminder
Yeah.
of the dangers of chasing clout online. So instead of, focusing on the road,
Which is pretty important when you're driving a McLaren.
it is. He was more concerned with the live chat
Mm.
and engaging with his viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up losing control of the car.
Wow.
And the essay even includes audio from the live stream
Oh, no.
And it is intense. You hear the tires lose grip, the screeching,
Yeah.
then the impact,
Yeah.
and then this heavy silence. And then you finally hear Jack's voice, and he's shaken up, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is that his main concern isn't for his friend, who was also in the car and was injured.
Oh, wow.
His concern is for the car. He cries out, "No, my expletive car."
Really? So in that moment, his concern is for the car and not his friend.
Yeah. And that really speaks volumes.
It does. That lack of concern for another person really highlights where his priorities are at.
Yeah.
And this incident sparked a lot of debate
Hmm.
about influencer accountability. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of people were upset, not just by the reckless driving, but by his lack of empathy for his friend.
And this wasn't even a one-time slip-up. The video essay goes on to describe how Jack continued to try to profit off of this crash,
Oh, wow.
even going so far as to beg for donations on TikTok to replace his McLaren.
Really?
And there's even a clip of him saying, "Everyone, double tap the screen. Let's see how fast we can hit it."
Wow, so it's almost like the desire for views and likes completely overshadowed any remorse he might have had.
Yeah, it's a very interesting psychological puzzle.
It is. On one hand, you have this desperate plea for financial help, but then on the other hand, he downplayed the seriousness of the crash and even bought his friend Michael a jet ski as an apology.
As like a "sorry I crashed the car" gift.
Yeah, so was this actual remorse or was this calculated PR?
That's a great question. So what does all this mean for Jack Doherty? Is this a turning point for him? Will he change his ways?
Yeah.
Or is this just another chapter in the same story?
Yeah, he's at a crossroads, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, he could continue down this road, doubling down on this bad boy persona, but that comes with risks.
I mean, YouTube and Twitch are always cracking down on content
Yeah.
that violates their guidelines.
Right.
Shadow banning is becoming more common, demonetization. So if he keeps pushing the boundaries, he risks losing his platform and his income.
Yeah, so he could lose everything.
Yeah. Or he could reinvent himself.
Okay, so change his content entirely.
Yeah. Create content that is less inflammatory.
Yeah.
Maybe more sustainable in the long run. But is that even possible for someone like Jack?
It would definitely be a challenge. People have an idea about him.
Yeah.
And those are hard to change.
Right.
But it's not impossible. There are tons of influencers who have successfully rebranded after controversies or just, you know, they've outgrown their initial persona. The key is authenticity. If he can convince people that this change is real, that he really wants to make different content, then he might be able to pull it off.
But there are risks to this approach as well.
There are definitely risks. The biggest one is that he could alienate his existing fan base.
So it's a balancing act.
It is. He needs to appeal to a new audience
Yeah.
without abandoning the audience he has.
Yeah. So what do you think? Which path will he choose?
I don't know. It's really hard to say. It's really interesting to think about all these pressures of creating content online.
Yeah.
It's a constant struggle to stay relevant.
I think this deep dive has really opened up some really interesting questions about this whole influencer landscape
It has.
and Jack's story. As crazy as it might seem, actually kind of shows us some of the bigger trends that are happening online.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to be right back to continue this conversation about Jack Doherty
That sounds good.
and explore some of these trends a little deeper. So stay tuned. So before the break, we were talking about Jack Doherty and these two paths that he could choose.
Yeah.
He can either double down and keep being this bad boy or try to make a change.
It's like we're watching a real-life choose-your-own-adventure story, you know?
Yeah.
Like the decisions he makes now are going to directly impact how his story ends.
It's true. So let's look at this a little closer. If we're talking about doubling down,
Mm-hmm.
what would that actually look like?
Well, option one would be more of the same.
Yeah.
You know, outrageous stunts, pushing the boundaries, but basically just leaning into all that controversy. It would be shock value entertainment, the kind that keeps people talking. Whether they love him or hate him, the potential reward is that he could keep his fans, maybe even gain more fans, the kind that love that kind of content.
But is there such a thing as bad publicity anymore?
That's the risk.
Yeah.
What people find entertaining and what they find offensive, that line is always changing.
Yeah.
What might have been fine a few years ago or even last month could ruin someone's career today.
Yeah, it's true.
Platforms are cracking down. They have guidelines.
Yeah. We talked about shadow banning,
For sure.
demonetization. So if he keeps doing this, he could lose everything.
He could. It's a real possibility.
Okay, so let's talk about option two. Reinventing himself.
Yeah, a total 180.
What would that look like?
So that means a huge change in his content
Mm.
and how he acts online.
Mm.
He could try new things like gaming or vlogging stuff where he can show different parts of who he is.
Okay, so more positive content.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Uplifting. Educational, even.
So basically, he's got to convince everyone he's a new person.
He's got to rebrand.
Yeah.
Like when a company tries to get rid of a bad image and appeal to more people.
Is that even possible, though?
It'll be hard. People already have an idea about him.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible. We've seen other influencers do it after a controversy, or they just change and grow up. The key is to be real. If people believe that he's really changed and actually wants to make different stuff, then maybe he can do it.
Okay, but wouldn't he risk losing his fans?
He could. It's a risk.
The ones who like the crazy stuff might not be into it.
Yeah, and he could see his views go down, at least for a bit.
So it's like he's got to get new fans, but not lose the ones he has.
And convince everybody that he means it, that it's not just to save his career.
So both options are risky.
They are. There's no guarantee that either will work. It depends on Jack and how he handles this crazy world of content creation.
It's like we're watching a social experiment
Yeah.
happening right in front of us.
Hmm.
So what do you think? Which path will he choose?
It's tough to say. It's a good question. It really shows you that these online personas are real people with real problems. Their actions have real consequences.
It's easy to forget that sometimes when we're watching all this drama
Yeah.
and entertainment.
It is, but this deep dive shows that there are real people behind all this.
It's about choices and what we're responsible for and how our actions affect others, both online and offline.
Exactly.
And Jack's story is still going. We don't know how it ends.
We'll have to wait and see. What he does next will be interesting to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
It could change his whole career.
And it's not just about him. It affects a whole conversation about
Yeah.
what people are responsible for online and what's real and fake and how this content is going to change in the future.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. So we'll be right back to finish up this deep dive and looking at what all this means for how online content is made.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, so we're back. And we've been talking about Jack Doherty's YouTube career.
Yeah.
And all the ups and downs and whether he's going to keep being controversial or try to like change his image.
Yeah.
It's a big choice for him.
Yeah.
And it could affect a lot.
Absolutely. It could affect not just how he does online, but also him as a person.
Yeah, for sure. And what I find really interesting is that his whole situation kind of shows us what's happening on the whole internet.
Yeah, I see that.
Like, it's all about going viral
Yeah.
and what's real and what's fake online and trying to keep people's attention.
Trying to stay relevant.
Yeah, and it's not just influencers. This is everyone online.
It's everyone that's trying to build a career, build a brand, build an audience online.
So if Jack's like a mini version
Oh.
of the whole internet, what does that mean for the future of online content?
That's the big question. Is it just going to be more and more crazy? Like shock value is all that matters? Or are people going to want something different?
Like something more real, something more positive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard to say. It could go either way, honestly. But the good news is platforms are starting to crack down.
Really?
Yeah, on all that harmful stuff. They want more positive stuff. Like YouTube changed their rules, and Twitch is responding to people more.
Oh, so it's not all bad.
No, not at all. The internet's always changing. It's like Jack is at the crossroads. We're all figuring out what kind of online world we want, what content we like, and who we want to support.
So our choices matter.
They do. We're not just watching. We're part of it.
Yeah, and that makes Jack's story even more interesting.
It does. Because it shows us that.
Yeah.
What we do online has real effects, whether you're a fan of his or not.
Yeah. His story shows us how complicated it is
Yeah.
between creators and their fans. And it's not over yet. We don't know what he's going to do next.
It's exciting. We get to see it all unfold.
So what happens next could change everything. Not just for him, but for how we think about
Right.
responsibility online.
Yeah.
And what's real and what's fake and the whole future of content.
Exactly.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But that's what's great about these deep dives. We get to explore these things and find all these connections. And sometimes we end up with more questions than answers.
That's okay, though.
It is. Sometimes it's more about asking the right questions.
Like, what kind of online world do we want?
Mm.
And what's our role in making it? Big questions.
They are, but we're thinking about.
Definitely. Well, this has been a really interesting deep dive
It has. I've enjoyed it.
into the rise and fall of Jack Doherty. Lots of twists and turns.
Yeah.
But I hope you learned something and have something to think about. So until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep.